democracies look like. Tell me what democracies look like. Thank you so much, everybody! The whole world is watching you! This is what democracy looks like! Thanks so much, everybody, for your warm welcome. And I can tell you one thing. We will win this one!
So it all started with discussions after a rally in Berlin where we all met up afterwards, and we started to have these amazing discussions how to actually solve the problems that we're facing on many different levels: economic, psychology, medicine, law, all of these different aspects of what is going on right now. The World Freedom Alliance is about unifying these big networks and people from all over the world that want to stand up for our basic human rights.
I smoked too many cigars when I was a banker, so I'm all right.
Welcome everybody on the working trip of the JFK 21 bus.
It's the first freedom bus. Freedom bus. Freedom hotels. Freedom restaurants. Freedom cities.
We are lots of experts here in our organization, lots of professors, Nobel Prize winners, doctors, and we agree on very strongly on some points, like the PCR test is not reliable and the lockdown measures has no scientific background. Actually, they are proven to not work in the multiple studies published now, and still we do it. And these experts in WHO, they are paid to say a certain agenda, and they don't dare to have a debate with us. They only use censorship to silence us down. And that shows that we are right and they are wrong. Because if they were right and we were wrong, they could easily challenge us in a debate. And then people could decide for themselves. But we're not even allowed to have the right to have a debate today.
This group, what I see here, it's so amazing to see you. So thank you very much that you are here. Yeah, and we will rock this. We will rock this show. But I got the microphone to thank Fiona. Yeah, for all the organization. Thank you very much indeed, and especially Mats, of course. Yeah, our host here. So thank you very much.
Welcome to the World Freedom Alliance. Our message to the world is, you get what you accept, you have a choice, let us lead the way. We are the great Resist, the World Freedom Alliance.
Wake up, Denmark! Wake up, world!
I have children, and so many others of you have children, and I think it's many of you that the basic thing is we're doing this for them. We want them to live in a world that is free, where they have their bodily integrity, where they have the freedom of speech, where they can move really around the planet.
Today will go down in history as one of the greatest demonstrations for freedom. Throughout my time working with children, I've seen them curious and wanting to connect with other people. And I've also seen children confused and sad when they can't. Can you imagine what it must be like to be a child today, looking at faces that don't smile, not being able to see someone's face, watching mom and dad feel scared? How many children are currently being abused and experiencing more violence? Are you prepared to put up with this? Because we aren't! People wearing masks, not only do we experience alienation, we also see a neutral face which activates our stress hormones because we can't decode them. It generates anxiety for babies seeing a mother with a neutral face, and it impairs their growth in the mirror neurons, which are essential to form to be able to feel empathy. What do you think a child without empathy grows up to be?
I was watching a video on YouTube with my daughter Luna. She's 11 now. And she likes to watch those 5-minute crafts. You learn like creative things in 5 minutes. And at one point I stopped the video and I said to my daughter, "What do you see when you look at the screen?" And she said, "Well, I see this really lovely girl," and she's explaining me things. "What is she wearing?" I said. "She's wearing a t-shirt." "What's on the t-shirt?" "Hello Kitty." "And what is Hello Kitty wearing?" "A mouth mask." So my daughter is being desensitized for mouth masks. She's getting used to it because it's everywhere. And you know how the brain works? Pictures go straight into our unconscious brain. We are being brainwashed wherever we go. This is not humanity. We should stop this immediately. This is child abuse. And they really believe that they have to do this in order to keep us safe, because they are so loyal to us, our children. They want to keep us safe, and it's not their job. So we have to show them what it is to be courageous, so they can mirror that. We have to show them to be loving people, to help each other, to hold hands, to make jokes, to laugh, to make serotonin, to make endorphins, to make dopamines, to make oxytocin. We have to show them. They learn from us how it is to be humans.
Take us by our empathy and morals and say things like, keep each other safe and follow the rules. And of course, an empathic person would fall for that. While these rules are getting more and more preposterous, for a virus with a survival rate of 99%, we are not stupid! Human beings are hardwired for connection, and we have a fundamental need to belong. We are here to love, to connect, to learn, and to be in service. Something that is being made almost impossible for all of us to fulfill right now. So I just want to remind everybody that we're not up against people who are asleep, okay? We're up against those people who would pay any price to keep the good people, our people, asleep. We are the minority until we become the majority. We are here to win.
We have started the 4th of November. We copied the success from Iceland in 2008. So we are doing a lot of pots and pans noise, and we call it the clinky clunky. And the atmosphere is really something everybody should try, because I thought we do the pots and pans to wake up the politicians, to make a statement that they don't pay attention to the people, they don't listen. I thought it would just be a lot of noise, but actually you get into a rhythm, and it's actually very, very pleasurable, actually.
This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy
I just want to say on behalf of the World Freedom Alliance, welcome to everyone here and to all the Danes. We're in your country, so thank you so much for your hospitality.
Maybe later. Jeg har lejet lokalet af Patrick. Jeg synes, det er unbelievable, at du skal stå og sige til en mand på 55, at han ikke må købe en øl. Jeg synes, det er unbelievable.
Jeg siger bare, at stedet her, de vil få en bøde, hvis det er solgt ud efter kl. 22.
Det er unbelievable.
Og mere vil jeg ikke, bare for at sige.
Og vi har gæsteliste. Den er ikke offentlig tilgængelig.
Jeg skriver objektivt det, du har sagt.
Og så hvis de så er enige med corona hot.
Jeg er færdig for i dag. God aften, ikke også?
Can we turn off the music for a moment? Okay, so I'll take this in English, yeah? So basically, we have a law that stipulates that this ridiculous rule that you cannot gather more than 10 people in Denmark does not apply to political groupings and groupings where you are sharing opinions. And this is clearly that, and the police agrees with that. So we can be here, but we cannot serve alcohol after 10. Boo! This happens all the time at the moment. And the police, who will never come out if someone robs your house, or a guy beats the crap out of you on the way home from the train, they will never come out to you, yeah? But if you serve alcohol 2 minutes past 10, they will come 5 times in an evening, yeah, to check you. This is what they can use, they have time for. But it's part of our fight for freedom to talk to them and say, what are you doing? I mean, your job is to punish criminals. And you're telling adult, well-educated people they cannot buy a beer after 10 o'clock. I mean, it's absolutely and totally insane world we have come to. So let's buy a beer. Let's buy a beer. Yeah.
There is not like one scientific truth. Science is turning into a religion right now. The science is not a religion, it's not supposed to be. Science should be a discussion, an open debate. In a democracy, there is a debate, period. If we don't have an open debate, it's not a democracy. And that's what we need to reclaim again, over and over.
Do you hear us? Yeah! Oh, God.
Hello, everybody.
And I would like to introduce you to Mr. Matt Spalsvik.
Hello, Robert Kennedy. It's a pleasure to meet you here on Zoom. I'm a former investment banker, and it was a total shock to me when I realized that the stories we hear about money creation was not true. But it is the privately owned banks that are creating money. And then I stumbled upon Executive Order 11,110 by your uncle, John F. Kennedy, who produced money the way it should be, by the government, for the people, debt-free money. We have now started a political party where we want to issue money the same way. And also I've been looking on Occupy Wall Street and the Yellow Vest movement in France. And I strongly believe that one of the reasons it's not working is because there's no political platform. So we are now working within the World Freedom Alliance to support and encourage political movements so that all the movements come together, but actually also have a plan for how we can get rid of the politicians who are starting wars left, right and center, poisoning our food, our air, our water, our medicine, and certainly also our vaccines. And because of John F. Kennedy, I wanted to have the initials JFK, and that stands for Earth, Freedom and Knowledge in Danish. And so we formed this political party, and we're actually launching it formally tomorrow. So it's just an immense honor and pleasure to meet you here on Zoom, Robert Kennedy. Yeah, thanks a lot for coming.
Well, first of all, thank you for including me with all these amazing people from the resistance. And I'm very, very heartened by what I see happening in Denmark, the commitment to human rights, civil rights, to democracy, to resistance, to this medical cartel, to the imposition of totalitarian controls and the creation now of the surveillance state. You were talking about my uncle, John Kennedy. And by the way, you're welcome to use the JFK from my permission to use the JFK initials. He was asked what he wanted to be the marker, his epitaph on his gravestone. And he said he wanted it to be, he kept the peace. And he said the primary job of every American president is to keep the country out of war. He had been in a war himself, and he saw not only the brutality of war, but he also saw what war and global war and the waging of war does to civil society and to democracies.
Hello, my name is Mick Stott. I'm a grandfather, I'm a father, but I'm also an ex-soldier, and I served for 30 years. I'm here to speak to the veterans and the military people whom I've grown to love, know, and help. And what I would say is that we are in danger as a police force and a group of soldiers of becoming agents. We're becoming order followers. And I can say this to you from the heart, the most dangerous group of people that exist today are the ones that follow orders without questioning those orders. As veterans, we've been lied to for years. We know what that feels like. Veterans are the intermediary group of people that stand between the politicians and the people we signed up to protect and serve, as did police officers. So what I would say to veterans, serving soldiers, and the police people out there is remember why you signed your oath. Remember why you took that oath and why you took the shilling and you decided to fight abroad for these people. It's us that are going to step into that gap that exists to make sure that we fulfill our promise to our communities and to keep those communities what they're meant to be, which is a community. And I'm going to say to veterans out there, and you will totally understand this, but a civilian group might not understand this. I'm saying to you guys, get ready to stand too.
A lot of people are following orders and are wearing masks out of empathy, and they have good intentions. And they are doing it because they think that wearing a mask will help save grandma's life. But I can tell you, my grandma has been isolated for months. I call her every day, and I think it is absolutely devastating that she has to be isolated. And if I was an old man who grew up during fascism and war, I think I would take the chance and see my grandchildren and take the chance, maybe die happy rather than live as an isolated slave. I think that there are a lot of people here who are more qualified than I am to tell you about the virus or about law. We have here world-famous immunologists, virologists, doctors, researchers, and for that reason, I would like to talk about something else. My great-grandfather was in a concentration camp. My mother is from Moscow. And in World War II, 30 million Russians died for our freedom. And that's only one country from one war. Now, if you look over time, all the wars there have been in all countries, how many millions of people, or probably billions of people, have died for our fundamental freedom and for our rights? And I'll be honest, it's absolutely heartbreaking to see so many people I know, so many people I love, who are willing to give away their freedom because the government tells them to do it because of a virus. Well, I have one thing to say. If they want to take away my rights and my freedom, they can come and take it from me over my dead body! I can feel my adrenaline pumping. My whole body is tingling. This is insane. Thank you all for being here. This is absolutely amazing. And this is just the beginning.
In my country, we don't have any more doctors. In my opinion, we only have medical bureaucrats that are only following orders. We're not allowed to have own opinions. Many doctors already lost their license. They try to take my license because I have own opinions. And this is what we are protesting against in this moment.
So this is how the magic trick works. If you look on the World Health Organization now, today, at SARS, right, 2002, 2003, the World Health Organization were saying that the mortality from SARS was 10%. That's what they say. It's still on their website, 10%. So that means if you had a population of 1 million, 100,000 people would die, okay? So that's the headlines, 10% mortality. But in reality, in the same page as they have 10% mortality, out of 7,000 million people, 774 people died in the whole world in SARS. So you have a chance of 1 of 8 million dying. So in Ireland, a population of 5 million, 1 person died, right? But still on the website, they call it 10% mortality. That is the crux of the magic trick. They just test a small number of people. So if you wanted in their world a 50% mortality, if you had like 100 people dying, they would just say, we're only going to test 200 people. Half of them have died. The mortality is 50%. We have a pandemic. That's how it works.
Most of the experts today are corrupted, in my opinion. There's very little science you can trust. They actually made an investigation. They investigated 100 most prolific studies, preclinical studies in their cancer area, and they tried to reproduce them. It's called the reproducibility project, and they only managed to reproduce 17%. 83% was fake, basically, not reproducible. And that's how science is today, because it's always paid by someone and they want to have their money back, and it's a result. So we cannot really trust medical science today.
Trying to keep the light out on a sunny day in a dark room is very difficult. You really have to cover everything up and be vigilant, because the smallest and the slightest crack will let the light in and reveal brightly what is inside. Truth is this shining light. Therefore, every voice that speaks the truth becomes a beam of light that make all dark coverings crumble. Dear friends, let's be courageous. Let us stand firm for this truth. Those who have been misled are our brothers and sisters too, and we welcome them. We hold no grudges. We believe in unity. Let us connect to our brothers and sisters in union and rejoice our connection and togetherness.
Hello, Copenhagen and all of Denmark. I'm Dr. Andrew Kaufman. We've been patient. We've been tolerant. We've even been, at least some of us to some degree, compliant. But this has got to end now. You've been on the streets telling your government this, and it has worked so far. Now is the time to keep going. You have the momentum. You have the numbers. You have the heart. I'm grateful you're standing up. Your government has tried to oppress you with the proposed epidemic law. They want you to take the vaccine. If you refuse, they want to prohibit you from shopping, working, and traveling. If that fails, they want to put you into quarantine camps. If that fails, they'll have the police force you into the camps. And if that fails, they want to have the police force you down and give you the vaccine. But you won't let that happen. You told them and they backed down. But you have to keep telling them because they will keep trying. As many of you know, it turns out this whole pandemic of COVID-19 is a fabricated web of deception. It is a tool of manipulation and control. Picture for a moment that there were no news reports, no masks, no social distancing, lockdowns, or store closings. Would we see that anything was different from all the past years of our collective experience? Have we seen people dying in the streets? Have we all lost people unexpectedly who are in good health? Are we burying bodies in our backyards? Or is there only the illusion of a pandemic? At present, these tyrannical policies are based only upon so-called cases. This is not the same as when a doctor diagnoses you with an illness. To be a case, you can be completely healthy, no symptoms at all. All that is required for a case is to have a positive test. You don't need a test to tell you when someone has a fatal disease. The reason they're using this test is to manipulate us. Let me tell you about this so-called PCR test. It stands for polymerase chain reaction. This test, as discussed many times by its inventor, Kary Mullis, is not suited to diagnose an illness or prove the cause of a disease.
If they could find this virus in you at all, and with PCR, if you do it well, you can find almost anything in anybody. It starts making you believe in the sort of Buddhist notion that everything is contained in everything else, right? I mean, because if you can amplify one single molecule up to something that you can really measure, which PCR can do, then there's just very few molecules that you don't have at least one single one of them in your body, okay? So that could be thought of as a misuse of it, just to claim that it's meaningful.
It is a research and manufacturing tool. Yes, manufacturing DNA or RNA sequences. In this situation, it's manufacturing a fake disease. So what this test actually does is make a lot of something out of a little of that something. That's it. It takes a short sequence of DNA or RNA and replicates it over and over. It's like looking for a needle in a haystack by making that one needle magically turn into 100 million needles. Certainly, you would be able to see that many. One problem is, however, that when you amplify those needles, you also amplify twigs, spider webs, lint, pebbles, dust, ants, hair, and anything else that's close to size of the needle. So when you see the thing in large quantities, are you seeing the needles or are you seeing pebbles and twigs? According to Dr. Fauci in the United States, if you amplify more than 35 cycle threshold, then all your results are twigs and pebbles.
If you get a cycle threshold of 35 or more, that the chances of it being replication competent are minuscule. You almost never can culture virus from a 37 threshold cycle. So I think if somebody does come in with 37, 38, even 36, you got to say, you know, it's just dead nucleotides, period.
But that is exactly what they're doing in many countries, like in England, where they're using a whopping 45 cycles. All their results are junk.
This has opened the door. The Portuguese study, right? The PCR tests, 97% false positive. Translate that into English, they're bullshit. Sorry about the swearing. Sorry, Mum. This is from the editor of the British Medical Journal. COVID-19 has unleashed state corruption on a grand scale. It's not a conspiracy, it's in the British Medical Journal. England closed down, it locked down on the 23rd of March. On the 13th of March, the UK government decided COVID-19 was no longer a high consequence infectious disease. That means that our Prime Minister, when he stood in front of the country and said it was the biggest danger facing our society ever, was lying. On the 19th of March, this was on their own website, saying it's not dangerous, saying the mortality rate is low overall.
That actually the great majority of people will not die from this. And I'll just repeat something I said right at the beginning, because I think it's worth reinforcing. Even the very highest groups, if they catch this virus, will not die.
But there's more. The particular RNA sequences this test looks at are based upon a theoretical model of a theoretical virus's genes. It uses short sequences called primers to find the target of a so-called virus. A group of researchers in Spain recently searched these primers in a special database open to the public called BLAST and found that they are identical not only to several different human sequences, but also to as many as 100 different bacteria. That means that almost anything, like a fruit, a puddle of water, a sheep, or another animal could test positive, and in fact, they all have. Since bacteria are ubiquitous, virtually anything could be positive for this PCR test. But based on this fraudulent and worthless test, your rights have been compromised. The more testing that is done, the worse it has gotten and will get. You must resist and say no to the swab. Do not get tested or allow your children or family to get tested. They control the game through testing. If they set the cycles high, the number of positives will be high. Then they will order more lockdowns and other tyrannical policies. One of those policies is about wearing masks. In my opinion, masks are one of the most heinous parts of this crisis. They make us alienated and estranged from our brothers and sisters. They tell us to hide our identity in shame. They tell us to be afraid of our neighbors. They tell us to shut our mouths. They tell us not to smile. It's time to throw away those masks forever. Thanks to Danish scientists, Dr. Blumgaard et al., we now have, for the first time, high-quality, randomized controlled trial data on masks for COVID-19. After being refused by 3 major journals, this paper was finally published earlier this week. I must note that the authors had to write up their discussion with some ridiculous statements just to make it look more favorable to the mainstream to get published, but their scientific conclusions were very clear. There was no evidence that masks reduce infection. I repeat, no evidence. Thank you, Denmark, for this major contribution.
There might be some kind of new virus out there. There is some new disease that I didn't see so much before I saw many patients. But on the other hand, it's not hard to heal it. For me, I know how to heal COVID-19. And you're not allowed to talk about this because you can do vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, malaria medicines like hydroxychloroquine, and also ozone treatment, vitamin C infusions, and corticosteroid inhalation. And if you combine all these things and some anticoagulants, very few people have to die from this disease. And if they are so bad that they die, they would probably die anyway in a couple of months. It's undeniable now. I mean, you can see it so clearly how this totally well-known medicine, hydroxychloroquine, suddenly becomes the devil and you cannot take it. I say, they will never find any vaccine that is even close to vitamin D. So just take vitamin D and the COVID problem is solved. That's why we don't have any COVID in the summer, because you get sun. That's proven in many, many studies. There is a linear relationship between vitamin D level and COVID-19 mortality. Actually, I would propose we make a little, we can make a little box with vitamins called co-vitamins, and we could have vitamin D, vitamin C, and zinc. And that would be much more than lockdown, masks, and everything.
On the 18th of November, our government released a new law. The argument which our health minister brought to defend this law was that he may consult with physicians, but the decision is made by politics. Well, I do not think so. So I would like to ask the politicians to stick to their experience and to their expertise and leave the pandemic, which is a medical issue, to physicians. And I would like to appeal to the physicians and to our leading medical groups. Please show some character and some backbone. The pandemic is a medical issue and it has to be solved medically. Please stop the madness and behave professionally. Thank you very much.
If you say to yourself, who are the people who are censoring our debate? All of those people are the people who are making money on the lockdown. Facebook, they have permanently bankrupted half the businesses in America.
And in Europe.
And what's happening? These are all small businesses. And guess who's replacing them? Amazon. What's happening now is a giant shift in wealth from the middle class in America, which is being obliterated and disempowered. And our constitutional rights are being robbed. And that wealth is being shifted to this very rich group of robber barons from Silicon Valley and from the banking industry and from the pharmaceutical industry and the medical cartel.
The harsh reality is that our media, they are lying to us, and the government is also lying. They are collaborators with foreign powers. But it's clear that there has been a coup d'etat in every single country in the world. Who benefits? It seems to be the large multinational corporations and the super rich, and the people who are decimated and destroyed is the middle class.
We are free people. We do have the choice to choose freedom or to choose the tyranny. And I kid you not. Nobody should say that he was not informed, because it's all written in a book. They call it COVID-19, the Great Reset. Do we want this? No. We are the Great Reset.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Copenhagen. Thank you very much.
Edmund Burke said something like this: all it takes for evil to prevail is for good people to do nothing. I'm so glad that you're not doing nothing. You're addressing a contrarian narrative. You're questioning the conventional narrative. You're seeing data corrupted and saying why. You're seeing individual rights stripped away from people and saying why. And you're seeing transparency absolutely thrown out the window and you're saying why. I have absolute confidence that at some point in time, the truth will come out. What price will we pay along the way? I'm not certain. We've already paid a price. We've shut down schools and damaged children's education at a level we may never be able to quantify. We have put in place policies that have encouraged mental health, despair, and suicide. We have caused people to postpone critical healthcare needs, including the diagnosis and treatment of cancer and heart disease and many other human maladies. These are dark days, but I'm absolutely confident that we will get through this. And a big part of the reason I share that confidence with you today is because you matter. Your motivation, your willingness to get up and do something, to speak to the issue, to leave your home and the comfort of it and demonstrate or speak out, this matters.
Most decisions should be made on an individual level, as low level as possible. And the politicians should only do decisions when it's really necessary. For example, vaccinating children for COVID-19 is absolutely bullshit. There is no scientific reason for it because children don't get sick. So why vaccinate them? I mean, there is no reason for it. Except this fictional thing that they can spread disease, which they don't. It's proven they don't. So they only get possible side effects from the vaccines. I mean, that's an easy choice if you were a little bit logic and were not paid by the medical industry to make decisions.
No, it's not necessary. Nobody needs a vaccine, which is not a vaccine. But everybody needs hugs and fresh air, vitamin D3 and zinc.
The government seems to want to own our bodies and is putting laws in place to take away our human rights, take away our bodily integrity. They want to vaccinate us, they want to track and trace us. It is a torture and a humiliation for humanity, and we are going to stop it.
If you paid me 1 million, I wouldn't take it. If you paid me 10 million, I wouldn't take it. I would go to prison first. And if somebody vaccinates me, I will be suing them for attempted murder.
Free speech is the pillar of our democracy. And right now, our democracy is under threat. In England, the Labour Party are trying to pass a law making it illegal to question the safety of vaccines. Please, human rights lawyers everywhere around the world, please stand up and join us. We have the scientific facts that you'll need in court. We will support you through the World Freedom Alliance, and we will fight this attack on our democracy.
We all know the facts now. We don't need any more discussions, right? We know the PCR tests do not work. We know that we need love. We need care. We need our families to be together. And we know that the masks are bullshit. People have died from the mask. Children have died from the mask. And we can't even speak about these things because we're being censored. When we stand up united, we're giving all people around the world hope. And this is serious. This is a war on us, on people. And the World Freedom Alliance is asking the whole world now to face the facts and stand up with us.
Yes, 3, 2, 1.
The higher you build your barriers, the taller I become. The faster you take my rights away, the faster I will run. Something inside so strong, I know that I can make it. Though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no, something inside so strong. Something inside so strong.
You know, we have a First Amendment in our country that protects freedom of speech. And we were the first nation to have that. The founders of my country did not pass the First Amendment to protect speech when it is convenient, when it doesn't offend anybody, when it's safe. The First Amendment is there to protect speech when it's obnoxious, when it's dangerous, when people don't want to hear it. That's why we have rights. We have religious rights, not when everybody likes the same religion, but when you don't like that religion. They have the right anyway. We have the right to assembly, not when we like your protest, or when we don't, when the government doesn't like your protest. That's why we have it. When they say the protest is dangerous because there's a pandemic. That's what the First Amendment is for. It's not there to protect protests that everybody agrees with. It's there to protect the protests that nobody agrees with. It's a minority.
People ask me all the time, what can we do? We feel hopeless. Well, you guys know what to do, don't you? Now, when I was a principal in England, I used to stand in front of my school and I would demonstrate things to them. So I'm just going to demonstrate something to you now. This is how not to do it. And then I would show them how to do it. This is how you greet someone. I first went on a demonstration against Corona nonsense in March. I spoke to 50 people in London. 2 weeks later, there was a demonstration in London and 40,000 people were there. In England, there is a park called Hyde Park. And in the corner of Hyde Park, there is an area called Speaker's Corner. Anybody can go to Speaker's Corner and say whatever they like. Haiku Schoening was arrested at Speaker's Corner. That is not what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
There was no need for the lockdown, even on day one. The question is, why are people not getting prevention and treatment? Why are governments locking down the world when there is no need? Why are they spending your money not on ensuring that the elderly get the prevention and treatment so that they're not prisoners in the care homes? You get what you accept. You have a choice. There is no need for this lockdown. Please join us on this journey in the World Freedom Alliance. Thank you very much.
I am going to say thank you. Thank you. From the bottom of my heart. You have shown the world what to do.
So little does it take for brother to kill brother. Tell me, how long till you see? Maybe all we really need is freedom. Don't let them come between us. Together we can win this. Save your freedom. No man has got this power to take away what's ours. You know I'm not the one who's here to take away your right to love and stay away. You're hiding yet again behind another mask. Don't let this fear within destroy what's good in us. Tell me, how long till you see? Maybe all we really need is freedom. Don't let this come between us. Together we can win this. Save your freedom. No man has got this power to take away what's ours. Save your freedom. Don't let them come between us. Together we can win this. Save your freedom. No man has got this power to take away what's ours.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Yesterday in Copenhagen, we had a huge rally, and it was kind of a culmination of all the demonstrations we have made since the 4th of November against the law on forced vaccination. A 7-hour rally in the rain, and people just stood their ground. And I was so happy and proud that the World Freedom Alliance decided to fly in and support.
We're not giving up for anything in the world, and we're standing together, and we're just really focused to now take action together with all of you.
Everybody getting really close, pushing really close, come on. This is...
The problem is that many people believe they are stupid, which I don't. And they believe, because that we have been indoctrinated, that we are stupid, and the experts are right, and we must just accept everything what they say because they are more clever than us. And we shouldn't do that. We should check every stone and really be critical to everything we can. And that is maybe the most important thing we have to learn as a mentality, to trust ourselves again and not the authorities, because they are cheating us all the time. And most of the time they cannot cheat me, and that's why they don't like me, and I don't like them so much either.
And then everybody says, well, trust the experts. I can tell you something. For 40 years, I've been suing chemical companies and oil companies and big polluters like Monsanto. When we go to court, they have an expert there. And if you listen to that guy, you're going to believe everything they say because they're smart and they have credentials. But luckily, we get to bring our experts in who shows our data. and the jury gets to decide. On any issue that you have, there's experts diametrically opposed to each other. You can't say trust the experts. First of all, that's not what we do in democracy. Second of all, the experts always disagree with each other. So let's have some democracy. Let's have open debate. Anything they tell us to do is illegitimate if it is not the product of open debate and democratic process. Let's debate it and let's find out the truth. Listen, if somebody proves to me that masks work, you will see me wearing a mask to protect other people. You'll see me wearing a mask every day. Nobody gave me the courtesy of showing me that scientific study. And that's what we should be demanding. We should be demanding democracy. This is a democratic movement. It's not a movement against vaccines. It's not a movement against collective action. It's a movement that says we need democracy and we need all these new laws that you are forcing down our throats to be the subject and the product of a democratic process and not simply dictated from above, top down.
Thank you very much. Tell me what democracies look like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Tell me what democracies look like.
This is what democracy looks like.
This is the right people, the right place. And we need you, Denmark. I am so proud to be here because we need you for an international wake-up call.